there. Good morning. Thank you guys so much for joining us today here on The Influence, here on the Revival Center YouTube page. My name is Pastor Jason Allums. I'm joined by our associate pastor, Pastor Jason White. So good to have you today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and excited to carry on the topic we started last week.
Yep, that's right. And if you are watching this live, as always, Aaron Limbaugh is in the room with us, and he's behind the camera on the computer there. So we would love to have any interaction that you would like to do, any comments or anything. We want to connect with you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, help us get the influence out there. That is the influence in the social media world, out there in TV world. So with that being said, thank you. We're going to jump right into it today as we continue this teaching that we started last week as we were kind of discussing the Christian community in the book of Acts, in the early church. What would have the church look like if you were alive in 35 AD, 40 AD, 50 AD, during the times of the apostles as the Bible was being written of the New Testament? What would it have felt like in terms of being a Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ? And so we had a great discussion last week on that subject as we kind of got into it. So we're going to pick it right up where we left off last week. So I do encourage you to kind of skim through last week if you need to, because we did cover some material. And I'm not going to go back and reread the verses again, but our kind of where we're piggybacking off of the verses is Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. Again, we spoke about that last Tuesday. So let's just kind of pick it up right here. When we talk about unity, that is not talking about being conformed where everybody looks the same, everybody sounds the same, everybody is connected through hobbies and things such as this. That is not the biblical definition of unity, and it is not the definition of unity in the book of Acts. When you talk about unity in the book of Acts in terms of a Bible term, you're talking about white people, black people, Asian people, Hispanics, people from all tribes, all nations. You're talking about different economic backgrounds. You're talking about different hobbies, all that group. But they all are together, unified through the person of Jesus Christ and His teachings. So the gospel is what unifies us, not we're all cowboys, or we're all Alabama fans, or we're all white, or we're all black, or we're all whatever. That is not the biblical definition of unity. And it needs to be understood that when you read the book of Acts, that is not what they refer to in unity. So, the Bible says that they had all things in common. They recognized God's ownership of everything. It all belonged to God and His people. Because God had touched their lives so deeply, they found it easy to share all things in common. Now, Pastor Jason, if you'll kind of pick it up right here, because it's important that you understand whenever the Bible uses the term all things in common in the book of Acts, and they shared their possessions, it's not an accurate leap to say that is communism or socialism. There is a difference. And it's important for you to understand that here in America right now, because there is a strong debate happening in our political world of the Democrat National Socialist Party, who has co-opted the old Democrat Party. And they are socialists who has a different agenda of governance than what we're accustomed to. And
gaining strength.
Yeah,
too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, especially in the New York area, a lot of old, regular, what we would think of as Democrats, Republican, Democrat. Well, those Democrats have been voted out in New York, and the Socialist Party has won those elections. I mean, you can go and Google that. I'm not trying to get political right now, but I am trying to say that we need to understand that in the Bible, whenever it says all things were in common, that the Democrat Socialist Party, the communists will use that terminology to try to push their agenda, so to speak. But tell us a little of the difference right here.
Yeah, so and we talked about that a little bit last week too, but we're going to continue the thought. So let's keep going. All things in common. So it isn't accurate to see this as an early form of communism. It's not accurate. It was not. Communism is not koinonia. I tried to even pronounce the thing, Google it and everything. I still don't think I'm saying it right. But anyway, that word, you'll hear me say that quite often here in just the next few minutes. Koinonia is how I'm going to say it. But it's a Greek word.
Yeah.
But communism says what is yours is mine and I'll take it.
Yeah.
Koinonia, I think I said it right then, says what is mine is yours and I'll share it.
And now contrast that to Jesus whenever he taught that if somebody wants a coat, if they ask for your coat, what are you to do?
Yeah, he said not only give them your coat, but also give them the shirt off your back.
Yeah, so it's not, hey, I'm going to tax you, I'm going to take your stuff, and if you don't give it to me,
at gunpoint,
I'm going to put you in prison.
Yeah, or shoot you. That's not it.
That's not it.
It's it's just a way of living a selfless life. You know, he also said if they ask you to walk a mile,
take two.
Take two. So that's the difference there. The Greek here does not mean that everyone sold their property at once. If you read through Acts, you see that. Not everybody. You have what stands out to me is the famous story of Barnabas. Mm-hmm. But anyway, rather from time to time, this was done as the Lord brought needs to their attention. So what is koinonia? Koinonia is a Greek word that occurs 20 times in the Bible. Koinonia's primary meaning is fellowship, sharing in common communion. And then the first occurrence of koinonia is in Acts 2:42, like we kind of use in our background text there. Mm-hmm. A powerful example of what koinonia should look like can be found in a study of the phrase one another in the Bible. So, you're going to see that here. Mm-hmm. Do you want to say?
No, go ahead.
Scripture commands us to be devoted to one another. Romans 12:10. Mm-hmm. Honor one another. Romans 12:10 again. Live in harmony with one another. Romans 12:16 and 1 Peter 3:8. Accept one another. Mm-hmm. Romans 15:7. Serve one another in love. Galatians 5:13. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Ephesians 4:32. Admonish one another. Colossians 3:16. Encourage one another. See the trend here? 1 Thessalonians 5:11 and Hebrews 3:13. Spur one another on towards love and good deeds. Hebrews 10:24. Offer hospitality. 1 Peter 4:9 and love one another. And there's a bunch of references there. 1 Peter, 1 John.
And so if you step back and you begin to analyze what's happening right here, is it begins to paint a picture that nothing is forced upon the early church in the book of Acts. There was no forcing anybody to do anything that they quote unquote didn't want to do.
That's right.
The byproduct of a born again life is that you're going to, number one, love God with all your heart, and then number two, you're going to love your neighbor as yourself.
Yep.
But that love that you have for your neighbor as yourself is a actionable verb. It's not, in theory, it's not a philosophical concept. It is actionable. And so that's what you see happening in the book of Acts, is all of those things is at play when we read the verse in 42, when it says they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, and to the breaking of bread and prayer. That one verse captures honor, it captures the harmony, it captures accepting one another, it captures serve one another, it captures being kind, being compassionate, admonishing, encouraging, spurring each other on to love and good deeds. It captures hospitality and love. That one verse, we read it very quickly and flippantly, and we'd say, oh, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teachings and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Oh, we do that. I go to church on Sunday.
But when you but when you truly study it out, that's what that was.
Yeah, it was
devoted.
Yeah.
Was all of that.
It was.
That's so much deeper. Man.
Way deeper. Again, we have surmised our Christian experience to Sunday morning. I'm a Christian.
That hour and 15 minutes.
Right. Why are you a Christian? Because I go to church on Sunday 1.5 times a month.
Yeah.
Whereas this right here is a lifestyle. They did this on Monday.
That's right.
They were nice to people on Tuesday. They loved each other on Wednesday. They were in humility with each other on Thursday. And they forgave people on Friday. And they fellowshipped on Saturday. I mean, it was a lifestyle.
That's right. And every day.
Every day. And, you know, one of the things that's happening right now in America, and you guys know this because you follow this channel, you follow this ministry, and I've been very open and honest about things that have been taking place in the Muslim community. And, you know, when you think about around the country, I'm talking about in New Jersey, I'm talking about in Buffalo, and even what kind of happened here on Highway 11, you know, it's not that the Muslims are taking over these churches at gunpoint.
Right.
Okay? It is because the Christians vacated the property. They left buildings empty. They left spiritual places as a vacuum. And all they did was come in and legally purchase property that was for sale, that had been abandoned by believers. That's all that's happening. Because we have deduced our relationship with God to 1.5 times a month going to church.
Nonchalant with it.
Go to Easter and Christmas services twice a year and we're good. Whereas the Muslim faith is this right here. In the Muslim faith, they teach their children that our faith touches every aspect of our life. And so when you are a teacher, then you are to influence the children to follow Islam. If you are a doctor, then you are to influence your workers in the society to follow Islam. If you are in the marketplace, you are Islam first. They teach everything around them that their religion touches it.
And you got to give them credit for that.
And they do.
That's devout.
And we don't.
Right. We've missed the boat.
But if you read and study the Christian community in the book of Acts, they did.
They did. Yeah, we've missed it.
That was what they did. They were...
It was the cornerstone, the foundation.
It was. Everything about them was Christian.
Yeah.
Their speech was Christian. The way they talked to people, it was communal. It wasn't all this division and hatred. And they had problems, but you worked it out and you had love, grace, and mercy, and you moved on with your life and you kept serving God.
That's right. Because you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
But you got to work it out, through Christ.
So let's now we just gave you the example, of what that one verse meant in verse 42. He just read that, and I went back and highlighted it. But now let's apply it to what it looks like here in America today when it comes to service. All right, so let's put it in 2026. So see if you can follow. It may be a little confusing, but follow.
Yeah, we'll try to explain it. So, dear friend, here's a church. The church membership is 1,400 people. All right, but out of those 1,400, 75 are non-resident members, so they don't live near. So the balance left to do the work of the church.
If you got a calculator, you can follow along.
That's right. Yeah.
So 1,400.
Pull it up on your phone.
And then minus 75.
All right. So then you got 1,325 left to do the work of the church, the ministry, to serve. Right. All right. So that's 1,325. So then you have 25 elderly who have already done their share. All right. So what number does that leave you with?
1,300.
1,300. All right. So you're with me. Good.
Yeah.
So that's the balance. So then you have 25 sick and shut-ins. So the balance to left to do the work is 1,275. All right. So we continue this scenario out. Members who do not give. That's 350. Christmas and Easter members. So the only ones that come for those 2 services. It's 300 of them. So what does that leave the balance? Well, it leaves the balance to do the work, 625. All right, so then we look at members who are overworked. Statistics say that like 20% of the people do 80% of the serving in most churches. So that leaves the balance at 325. Started at 1,400.
Yeah, 300 members who are overworked.
That's right. So now we're at 325. That's the balance. Members with alibis, 200.
Work,
yeah,
whatever.
Late, ball, whatever. So then the balance is 125. Remember, we started at 1,400. Members too busy with other things, 123. So the balance left to do the work is 2. But just me and you and me, friend, and you'd better get busy because it's too much for me. So that leaves 1.
That's a funny way of looking at it, and it is funny, especially when you get to the end. But it is true. I don't know how many pastors we have watching right now, or people who have been in ministry listening to this this teaching right here. But if you have been pastoring or you've been teaching in ministry, then you know how true this is. And if you've never been in ministry, maybe you don't understand the inner workings of what is happening to this culture that we're a part of, called the Christian community. That we have raised up a generation that says, how dare you ask anything of me to do anything of the work of God.
That's right.
You're going to burn me out. You're asking too much. I can't afford to pay tithes and send my kid to AAU baseball. You're asking too much. And yet we're going to complain about the degradation of our culture, the degrading of our society, the degrading of our values and our morals. But yet people are highly offended if you ask anything from them when it comes to the church. I'm talking about something as simple as greeting becomes offensive, or whatever. That was not Acts 2, gentlemen. That was not Acts 2. None of that, what we just talked about, you would have found
then
in the book of Acts. It was, who can serve more? Who can, what can I do? What a service can I be to help the cause of Christ in this community?
Well, and I'll say too, thankfully, at the Revival Center, this is not us.
All right, I'm talking about from a general,
general
church culture world.
But what this scenario does show you is, and it's true in a lot of places, is that there's such a spirit of entitlement that people have now, and then there's a spirit of selfishness that is tied to this that you did not see, like you said a second ago, in the Acts 2 church. You just didn't see it, and it is sad how we've gotten to this point. But we can always change.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say something here, and then we'll kind of land the plane, because I don't want to get too far into this next part of this teaching and not be able to finish it. But I think, and I'm going to leave it with you so you can think about this over the next 7 days, and we'll pick it up next Tuesday. But one of the biggest differences in Acts chapter 2 of what we're studying in the early church versus today, and this is going to be hard, but it was a community of converts. And you say, well, Pastor, are you saying that we don't have a community of converts now? I don't know. I am going to push back on it. I am, because
fruit.
Yeah, fruit. That's right. I am, because we view converts simply as attending church.
That's right.
And that's not the case. You have people who may be attenders, but they are not converts.
Yeah.
They have not sold their heart to Jesus Christ. And back in the book of Acts, you've got to remember that they were highly persecuted. So if you were not a true convert, you wouldn't be a part of that community. Because why would I want to be a part of a community where I could literally die tomorrow, and be fed to lions? It puts a bit of a standard on you to be a part and to be a Christ follower if I know that me being a Christ follower could cost me my life. So they were true converts.
You said it in your sermon, not this Sunday, but the Sunday before, attenders versus
believers.
How many people in our churches in America are sitting on Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, Wednesday nights, whenever, they're just attending?
Right, yeah, they're not sold out. It's what we're talking about, sermons Sunday. That's what produces a 1933 Germany that has 95% Christians.
That's mind-blowing, man.
95% professing Christians. And those people, 5% of Germany did not kill 6 million Jews, just so that you know.
That's right.
It took some of them other 95% to kill 6 million Jews. So how can a Christian nation do something like that? It's because they're not converts.
No, they're attenders.
They're not converts. They may have a cross hanging on their wall or something, and they may not be bowing down, as a Muslim, but they are not converts of Jesus. And same thing in Rwanda. 1994, 90% of that African nation identified as Christian. But yet the Tutus killed 1 million people in 100 days with a machete. That is not converts, ladies and gentlemen. And we need to face that reality. That we need to look in the mirror and we need to ask ourselves, am I truly a convert of Jesus Christ?
That's right.
Because the days in which we're living is going to require that level of dedication. So we're going to get into that teaching next Tuesday. The community was a community of converts, and we're going to contrast that to ourselves. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. I'm very passionate about this subject because of the time period that we're living in. I just feel such test coming on us, and we're already here, and we've been tested already, but I just feel it even more in my spirit, and I feel like I need to get you guys ready who follow this ministry. So, hey, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Aaron. And let's get back at it next Tuesday right here at 8:30. God bless.